Got everyone seated. Good. Let's just take a moment and allow your eyes to close. No matter how young you are, everybody can do that. Let's get all of the eyes to close. And everyone sit as straight as you can. Not rigid, but just straight. And allow your awareness, your focus, your attention, allow it to pull from being focused on the world around you to being focused on the world inside you. There's always so much in the world to distract us. Sights and sounds, sensations. And there's so much even in our own mind to distract us. Our thoughts, our emotions. But you want to allow your awareness to pull away from all of those things. Don't push the things away. Just pull the awareness away. And pull that awareness deep into you. And let it become one with your breath. So become fully aware of the breath as it flows in and out, slowly and easily. Just allow your attention to merge fully with your breath. If you find that you still get distracted, you can add a really simple and gentle mantra to it. And the mantra is so hum. So hum. On the inhalation, as you breathe in, just allow yourself to chant silently to yourself. So silently as you inhale. And as you exhale, in slow exhalations, just allow yourself to silently chant to yourself. As you exhale. So hum means I am that. I am one with the universe, one with the Creator, and one with the creation. I am that. It reminds us we are not separate from the universe. We are one with everything. So allow yourself to chant that as the awareness is merged fully with your breath. Slowly bring the palms of your hands together at chest level in Namaste. And just gently rub the palms of your hands against each other. And then press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. And slowly lower the hands and open the eyes. Welcome everyone to Satsang. So beautiful to be together with you all tonight. We start, as usual, with a question that has come in from our online audience. People join in from all over the world. It's so beautiful the way that we can connect with people in every corner of the world through this gift of technology. So they send us questions, and since we love them but they can't be with us physically here, we begin by taking the first question from them. And then I'll open it up to any questions that anyone here might have. How can you save your energy from people, places, and things that try and suck our energy from time to time without being rude or harsh to any of those people, but also without being harsh to ourselves? From Kumar in Dehradun. So, Pujya Swamiji always says about life, Failing to plan is planning to fail. And what I love about that is what it really means is we have to be conscious and aware of where do we want to go. If you get into a car and you turn on the car and you have no destination in mind, nothing's in your mind, nothing's in your heart, you don't put anything into your GPS, you just kind of start driving, it's very likely that you're going to run out of gas long before you've reached some place that you really wanted to go, because you weren't going anywhere you wanted to go. You were just driving to drive. Your time will be wasted. Your gas will be wasted. You've put another lot of miles on the car unnecessarily. So if you're going to sit in the car, it's really smart to know, where do I want to go? Maybe someplace specific, the grocery store, or maybe someplace more general. I want to go into the mountains. I want to go to the beach. I want to go someplace beautiful. But at least have some idea of where you want to go. Now, the same thing is true in life. If I have no idea what's important to me in life, amazingly, you can still stay very busy every day, all day. You actually can get up and allow all of these things to suck up all of your time and energy, and your money as well in many cases. And at the end of the day, you find you were really busy, but you didn't actually do anything that mattered. You didn't help anyone, you didn't achieve anything, and you didn't actually even really deeply enjoy it. You just were kind of wasting the day. So this is why we have to be focused. We want to be open to the flow of the universe, because there's a beautiful divine plan and divine intelligence. But we also want to have some clarity on what is it that's important to me. So in each day, make sure that some of that day is planned and structured. Whether it's your sadhana time, whether it's your sadhana time, time working on a project, time doing seva, time that you're studying, make sure that you've got blocks of time in which you know, this is what I'm doing in this time. This is my study time. This is my prayer time. This is my meditation time. This is my exercise time. This is my seva time. This is my family time. And then this is my free time. You want to make sure to have some free time also during the day. It's not every second is structured, because life happens, and it's nice to have a little bit of flexibility to be able to flow with life. But if you find every day that you're not doing the things that you've said you were going to do, because different people have come, or different situations have arisen that have just sucked all your time and energy. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes the opportunity you're given is even better than what you planned. So you want to be open to that. You don't want to say no to an opportunity to actually have a much deeper, richer, fuller experience than what you had planned. But if what you're saying yes to is stuff that's just wasting your time, you have to learn to say no. A lot of times people think that no is not spiritual. We were just speaking the other night, one of the earlier nights of Navaratri, about how fierceness can go with sweetness, and how just because you are spiritual and sweet and wonderful and light doesn't mean that you're not strong. And it doesn't mean you're a doormat, and it doesn't mean people walk all over you. Because this is a big myth about spirituality, is that if I'm spiritual, it means I'm never going to say no to anybody. I'm never going to stand up for myself. People will think I'm weak. Everyone will walk all over me and take advantage of me. But that isn't true at all. Spirituality gives you your no just as much as it gives you your yes. Because spirituality shows you very, very clearly what your yes is. And you realize that unless you say no to things that are not your yes, you're not going to be able to say yes to your yes. Does that make sense? I know there were a lot of no's and yeses in there. I'll say that again. Unless you say no to things that are not your yes, you won't be able to say yes to things that are your yes. So let's say that my yes is to get an A on my math exam tomorrow. Okay, we have a lot of young students here. I can imagine that most of them would like to get A's on math exams. Or let us say that my yes is I want to spend a certain amount of time every day in what we call sadhana. My meditation, my prayers, my yoga, my pranayama. That's what I want to say yes to. But then, in the evening, someone calls and says, hey, come on over. We're all watching movies and having pizza and hanging out. Now, I know that if I stay awake until midnight, watching movies, eating pizza, and hanging out, there is no way I am going to want to get up early in the morning to do my sadhana. I'm going to be exhausted. My stomach is going to be still kind of overfull and undigested, and I'm going to feel kind of nauseous in the morning. But mostly I'm just going to be totally exhausted. So I'm not going to be able to say yes to something that is important to me unless I say no to that offer that has come into me the evening before. Similarly, if I've got a math exam the next day and I'm staying home and studying, well, sure, a movie and pizza sounds like a lot more fun than studying for the moment. But my biggest yes is the math exam. And unless I say no to the pizza and movie the night before, I can't say yes to the math exam. And this actually brings us into another really important and beautiful lesson about life, is a lot of us have kind of different aspects of ourselves. There was a very, very funny comedy movie, TV show, when I was growing up. Very funny comedy TV show in which the main character was doing exactly that, staying awake very late at night. And his friend said to him, well, don't you have to get up early in the morning and go to work, and aren't you going to be exhausted? And he said, yeah, but that's morning man's problem. He said, right now I'm night man. And night man is really enjoying staying awake and watching the movie. Let morning man deal with how tired he is. Now, it's funny, and it was a funny TV show, but actually on a really deep level, that's how a lot of us act. As though somehow morning man is different from night man. As though somehow it's actually somebody else who's going to deal with how tired I am in the morning, or my inability to do sadhana, or me failing a math exam. And I'm only identified as the me in this moment who wants to watch a movie and eat pizza. And one of the most important lessons in life, whatever your goal may be, from deep, deep spiritual goals to even just success in the world, is you have to realize that you are also morning man or morning woman, and make choices in the night that are going to be helpful for the you in the morning. It's the same reason we brush our teeth. It's the same reason we take care of our health, because we know that the me next week, next month, 30 years from now doesn't want to have their teeth fallen out and be sick and unhealthy. So I do things today for that me of the future. And that includes saying no to things that are just unnecessarily keeping my time, my energy, my money, my resources away from things that really matter to me. Yes. आपको माइक देना भैया.
Good night. Thank you. How do we know that our yeses are our yeses and not society or program
Great.
or ego yeses? And that, okay.
Great, yeah. How do we know that our yeses are our yes and not just the yes of society or culture, something we've been told? This is why meditation is so important. When we speak about the inner voice, the problem with that is that when most of us close our eyes, there's so many voices inside. There's not just one voice. There's the voice of fear that says, oh my God, what if this happens? There's the voice of desire that says, oh, but I want that. There's the voice of society, the voice of culture that says, this is what good girls do. This is what good boys do. This is what the proper thing to do is. This is what will make people like you. That is what will make your parents proud. All of these voices from culture, society, outside. And somewhere amidst all of those voices is the voice of yourself. And the only way to be able to hear it is to get familiar with it. And that's why our spiritual practice, it's another reason our spiritual practice is so important, is it helps us get familiar with that voice. Because when you meditate, all those voices come. Fear comes, oh my God, if I keep wasting time meditating, I'm going to not get to work on time. I'm going to forget the things I have to do. My errands won't get done. Or, oh my God, I'm going to be a failure at this meditation thing. I'm worthless. Or desire comes up. God, I would so much rather be at the gym with that cute guy I like. God, I would rather be, eating waffles for breakfast than meditating. Desire arises. God, I hope I get that raise at work today. God, I hope that girl smiles at me. Whatever it may be, but it arises. And in meditation we learn to just bring the awareness back, right? It's just exactly what we were doing for just 5-6 minutes. You just bring it back. The mind wanders, you bring it back. It wanders, you bring it back. It wanders, you bring it back. And slowly you become very accustomed to those voices that cause it to wander. Desire, fear, culture, something you heard from parents, siblings, someone else. Who do you think you are meditating? You're not a spiritual person. You're never going to become anything. We start to hear those sorts of voices. And we just bring the awareness back because we know this isn't me. I'm not those voices. Bring the awareness back. Bring it back. Now the inner voice, though, doesn't sound like a voice like that. And it's actually something that you hear when the awareness is anchored and grounded in the breath rather than something that distracts you. and you feel it. It doesn't just sound like this whirling voice in your head. It doesn't make your heart race with fear or anxiety or desire, restlessness. But you actually feel it here. It's why they talk about a gut instinct. It's not just a random word. I mean, there's a reason they said gut instinct and not elbow instinct or ear instinct. Because actually what we know neurologically is that the gut is actually lined with cells that are very, very, very similar to the cells of the brain. In fact, in many cases, the exact same cells. And the same chemistry of the brain is in the gut. And so that which we know without knowing in our brain, we know in our gut. So if you're ever really wondering about something, it can really help to just put your hands here and ask yourself the question and see how it feels. Your gut will know. When you start to think about that thing that might be a yes, either the gut will go, yes, yes, and you'll just feel it and you'll know. Or the gut will kind of contract. It'll just contract ever so subtly. And you'll know that you're just kind of playing a role, you're doing what you should. And you'll learn to distinguish that. Yeah, great question. Any other question? Yes. Okay. Just one sec, you're going to get a mic so we can actually hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Having been a young boy, young man myself, I understand the peer pressure that's associated with saying, no, I can't have pizza, or maybe I can't even have a beer or whatever because I have to study tomorrow. How do these young men and women deal with this peer pressure in a real world way so that they're not rejected by their friends?
Great, great question. So, raise your hand if you've ever experienced peer pressure in school, in work, anywhere. Okay, so that's almost all of us. It's very common. And I did that on purpose because I wanted all of our young sisters and brothers to know you're not alone. We've all gone through it. But let me teach you a trick. Rather, it's not a trick, I'm sorry. It's a secret. Secret about human psychology. And this is a secret that is going to be very helpful for you. Not only in school, but in your whole life. Imagine for a moment, let's take a made-up situation, and let's say that I love chocolate cake. And I'm also very happy with my body. I'm not on a diet. I don't think I need to lose weight. I'm a generally healthy eater, and whenever I want, I eat a piece of chocolate cake, guilt-free, no complex, no issue, no nothing. I just am able to really fully enjoy a piece of chocolate cake. I never think, oh my God, now I have to exercise extra, or I should eat less tomorrow. Nothing like that. Guilt-free, super happy eating of chocolate cake. Okay? Now imagine you and I are at dinner together, or lunch, and I order a piece of chocolate cake. And I say to you, you should have some chocolate cake, it's really good. And you say, no thank you. Maybe you give me a reason, maybe you don't give me a reason. Either way, you say no thank you. Now, if I'm really loving my chocolate cake, and I have no complex at all about eating it, why would I care if you eat it also? Right? I mean, I'm just trying to be a good friend. Cake is good. I want to share it with you. You don't want it. Fine. More for me. No complex, no pressure, You eat what you want. I'm very happily going to eat my chocolate cake. But now imagine a different scenario. Now imagine that I am on a diet. And I think that I'm much too fat and I've been trying to lose weight. And I keep trying to diet and keep trying to diet and I hate the way I look. But I just can't stop eating chocolate cake. Now I order a piece of chocolate cake and I say to you, have some. And you say, no, thank you. Now I'm going to pressure you. But I'm going to pressure you not because the chocolate cake is actually better than it was in the first situation, but because in the second situation, if you don't eat it, that is a mirror in my face of the fact that I actually had a choice, and I am choosing to eat chocolate cake even though I know I shouldn't. And you are the one choosing not to. And that makes me feel very uncomfortable. It makes me feel weak. It makes me feel like I'm not such a good person. I'm certainly not a good dieter. So I really want you to eat that chocolate cake because then I feel like, well, though everybody's eating chocolate cake. So I'm going to pressure you. And the secret about peer pressure is the more someone tries to pressure you to do something, the more you can be sure they're not actually enjoying it. Because if they're really enjoying it, then whether you do it or not shouldn't impact their enjoyment at all. I want to have a beer, I'm going to have a beer. I mean, I don't. I've renounced that many decades ago. But the point is, if somebody is having a beer, like you give the example, and you don't feel badly about it, you don't feel guilty, then I don't care if you have one or not. But if I feel guilty about it, if I know I shouldn't be drinking, and you don't drink, then sitting with you makes me feel very restless, very anxious, very uncomfortable, and so I need you to drink. And that is why peer pressure happens. So hold on to this truth, and whenever anybody tries to pressure you to do something, ask yourself, if they were really enjoying it as much as they're trying to convince me they are, why would my drinking or eating or smoking or doing, why would that change their enjoyment of it? It shouldn't. And then once you've done that, as our beautiful questioner asked, how to say no without people, not liking you and feeling badly. This requires a little bit of strategy. And it's going to be different for everyone. But you're going to develop a way to say no. A way to stay in your values, your ethics, your priorities that works for you. And it's going to take some practice. You have to try on a few things. I remember in my very first year at university, everybody went to fraternity parties all the time. And I hated them. I wasn't antisocial. I just never really liked the big, crowded situation where it was so loud and you couldn't actually hear anybody. And even before I took sannyas, I never enjoyed drinking, and I hated beer, and I hated the smell of beer. And so what I decided was, I developed my own personal strategy. Because I wanted to be cool. I wanted people to like me. I didn't want to be like the loser who just stays in her dorm room all the time. So whenever anyone would say to me, oh, you should come to this party, I would say, I will come only until someone spills beer on me. The minute that someone spills beer on me, I am leaving. And they would always say, oh, no, it won't be like that. It's not going to be that type of party. It's going to be a good party. And I'd say, okay, and I'd go. And inevitably, in a short period of time, someone would spill beer on me, and I got to go home. And if it didn't happen quickly enough, I would maneuver my way over to someone who seemed to have a very, very filled to the rim cup of beer and was not quite so steady on their feet. And I would figure out how to be just in exactly the right place at the right time as their cup of beer toppled over. But the point is that I was able to do what I wanted to do, which was go back to my dorm room, without having been someone who always said, no, I won't go, no, I don't want to, no, I don't like parties. No. I was able to stay cool while still avoiding the situations I didn't want to be in. You can use any strategy you want. Do you like to sing? Well, smoking's going to mess up your voice. Do you get nauseous? Well, drinking makes you awfully nauseous. You can come up with anything that you will use, and you may have to try a few different ones. Try them on, see how they fit. But come up with something that works for you, that you can say with a smile. You can say it staying friends. You don't put somebody down. Say it as a joke. But not do what you don't want to do. And this is actually a very important rule of life, because throughout your whole life, people are going to try to pressure you, not just in school. And you have to develop the ability to say no, so that you can say yes to the things that you do want to do. And this is a perfect age to learn that. Thank you for that great question. Yes. You just have to hold it close to your mouth.
So this is a follow-up question on the gut instinct. So what if you know that something is the right thing for you to do, but it can be scary? Can both of the things coexist? And if they can coexist, can we do something about it?
Beautiful. So what if you know something is the right thing to do? It is your yes, but it's scary. What to do? Can the right thing and fear coexist? Absolutely. And they do a lot of the time. A lot of the time. Because a lot of us have been, sadly, we've been really misled, misguided to believe that we are not as capable as we are, that we're not as worthy as we are. A lot of us move through the world feeling like we are not smart enough, or we're not worthy enough, or we're not good enough, not pure enough, not funny enough, not popular enough, not capable enough, not responsible enough, not worthy enough. And all of those things make us very, very afraid to take risks. Fear is good. Fear is good because fear means you're stepping out of your comfort zone. So fear is very good. You just don't want to let that fear paralyze you. The example for me that's my favorite example of this is if you ever go to any public swimming pool, maybe in a hotel. Hotels have big pools, or a condo complex, or anywhere you may go that's a big pool. A lot of times you'll see little kids on the edge of the pool. They don't yet know how to swim, they're just learning. And they have floaties on their arms, and their mom or their dad or someone's inside the pool with their arms like this, trying to get the kid to jump in their arms. And the mom or the dad is saying, jump, jump. And the kid is on the edge of the pool, terrified. And you see the kid on the edge going, sometimes the kid kind of runs up and down the edge of the pool, back and forth, but doesn't jump. Eventually, though, they jump. And of course, mom or dad catches them. And then something very beautiful happens. Within 30 seconds of jumping and being caught, they always, 100% of the time, start to laugh. I've never seen a kid cry once they jump and they're caught. They cry on the outside, but the minute they jump and they get caught, they burst into laughter. And you know what they always say? One more time. Again, again, again. And now they want to keep jumping and jumping and jumping. But they allow themselves to jump because they have faith in the person whose arms are reached out to them. If it was a random stranger, they'd never jump, nor should they. And this is the key to life. When things are scary, we remember we're being carried by God. We're jumping into God's hands. And it doesn't matter what words you may use for the divine. Some of us say God, some of us say the divine, some of us say source or supreme or spirit or love. It doesn't matter. Whatever words you may use, for that intelligent perfection in the universe, that perfection that makes trees know how to grow, that makes them give us fruit, that intelligence that makes all animals know exactly how to live and what to do. Birds build nests. Baby birds jump out of the nest and fly. Everything in the universe does exactly what it's supposed to do because of that wisdom, because of that intelligence. And so if you know something is what you're supposed to do, just pretend you're a baby bird. Pretend you're a butterfly that has just come out of the cocoon. It's never flown before. It's still in the cocoon, hanging in the tree. It went in as a caterpillar, but now it's a butterfly. But you never ever see butterflies walk their way back down the tree because they're too afraid to fly. You never see baby birds refuse to jump out of the nest. But I imagine they all must be afraid. But they do it because they know. They know. This wisdom, this intelligence, this perfection in the universe that is telling me to jump and fly knows that I can fly, or I wouldn't have that instinct. Dogs don't jump off of buildings. I've never seen it happen. Right? I mean, you never see a dog leap off of a 12-story building because somehow it got confused and thought it could fly. The bird flies. It knows it can. And I don't think dogs have to stop themselves. Like, I don't think that they have this conversation inside where one part says, let's go, and the other part says, I don't think so. I don't even think it has the instinct because it's not meant to fly. Like, I never have the instinct to stand like this and wait for apples to grow on my arms. On some deep core level, I know I'm not an apple tree. It would never occur to me to just stand here and expect the universe to make apples grow out of my fingers. I think we only have the instinct, that deep inner calling, that yes, to do that which we are supposed to do, that which we are meant to do. The apple tree grows her branches and gives apples. We do not. So if you have a yes in you, embrace that yes. It's okay to be afraid. Just don't let the fear stop you. Yes. Wonderful. Last question. Yes. This, him in the yes, you. We hadn't had any questions from the students yet, so I want to end with you.
My question is that whenever like you are in school or at any workplace, there are certain people that you have to be around, but at the same time they give you a lot of anxiety. But like even if you try to resist them, there is some work that comes up, and you have to be with them at that time. So like how can we
Great question.
overcome it?
And I have bad news for you. Should we tell him or not tell him? Unfortunately, those situations don't go away when you leave school. Unfortunately, we have them in our workplaces, we have them in our families, we have them in our neighborhoods and communities. It would be so nice if we could leave that situation behind when we left school, but we don't. But this is a perfect age to learn how to deal with it, because you're going to be in this situation throughout your life. And the way to deal with it is something we were speaking about, I think it was last night, about the fact that people who give you pain, who bring stress, who bring tension, who bring negativity, they do that because that is all they have. Right? We were talking about apple trees. Well, apple trees only give you apples. They can't give you oranges, they can't give you peaches. An air conditioner can only give you cold air. It's nice in the summer, not so nice in the winter. A heater can only give you hot air. Nice in the winter, not so nice in the summer. But all of those things can only give you that, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, helpful or harmful, because that's all they have. Even if you are deathly allergic to apples, no matter how much that apple tree might love you, it cannot give you anything other than apples. No matter how much your air conditioner might love you, if you stand under it in January, you're going to get pneumonia. Because that's all it's got. And when someone brings us pain, struggle, it's because that's what they have inside of them. If someone causes pain to us, you can be sure that that's because they are manufacturing pain inside of them. And so when you have to be with them, you realize this isn't about me. This is about that person. That person is in pain inside themselves. They're struggling with their own anger or grudges or jealousies or resentments or frustrations or challenges in life. And so that's what they are spewing out onto people around them, because that's all they've got. So the first thing you do is you feel compassion for them, because if what they're sharing is so painful, imagine what it must be like inside of them. But the second thing you do is that you also have to take care of yourself. And so you spend as little time with them as you can. You try, to whatever extent possible, to minimize the interactions. You may not be able to avoid them entirely, but to minimize them. Because just because you feel compassion for someone doesn't mean that you need to spend a lot of time with them. We saw this in COVID. Imagine that your family member was sick with COVID. Well, you love them so much, But that doesn't mean you're going to crawl into bed with them. Right? Whenever in a house one person got COVID, they isolated. Because we understood that if that person breathes on me, I might get sick. And so if you have to spend as little time near that person, have your emotional or spiritual social distance from that person, don't feel badly about that. We did it for our physical immunity, and you need to do it also sometimes for your emotional and spiritual immunity. And if it's someone you cannot avoid, it may help, if necessary in some circumstances, to have a third person come in and see if that third person, somebody you trust, somebody helpful, maybe a teacher, be someone else older in the school who could come in and help, see whether that situation could be made better for you. Because that's another important lesson in life, is never assume that just because something's like this now, that it has to be like that. Always ask yourself, is there an option? Might I be able to avoid this situation entirely, or might someone be able to help me with this situation? Whether it's a difficult roommate, whether it's a difficult teacher, whether it's a difficult peer, whoever it may be. Confide in someone. Confide in someone who can help, and see whether they can actually change that situation as well. But most importantly and lastly, just remember, it's not about you. It's about them. Never feel badly about yourself. Just have compassion for them that they're manufacturing pain inside. Because if they were manufacturing love and peace inside, that's what they would be sharing with all of you. Okay? So, as much as I would love to sit with you all night, I want to make sure that there's time for everyone to have some dinner and come down for the Ram Leela, which is on the banks of Ganga, as I mentioned in the Arati. Even if you don't speak Hindi, don't worry. It's the sheer entertainment value of it is definitely worth seeing. It's the story of the Ramayana, done with great costumes and drama and music and dance and all sorts of very, very, very engaging entertainment, but that also teaches us that very beautiful and powerful lesson of the Ramayana. So that's down where we have the Arati, to your left. So the Arati ghat is steps, but to the left is a flat ghat that has a tent on it, and it's there. And that also, of course, is open to everyone, and it's going to be going on for the next 5 days. So have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. And so much love to you all.